once again, the United States is flexing its imperial muscle, and this time with the help of the right-wing AfriForum here at home. Now, the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee has advanced a bill that could pave the way for sanctions against South African officials, citing our foreign policy and international alignments. And while lobby group AfriForum insists this bill isn't at South Africa as a whole, well, they are still applauding it anyway. Now let's break down what's really happening.
If it means we're going to suffer through sanctions as leaders of the ANC, let it be. We'll never back imperialists to subvert our democracy, to subvert our sovereignty. It happened during the period of struggle. It will happen even now. We will never forsake our country, which we fought for its liberation. And we're still marching on even now. Not this ANC, not this leadership. If they want to bring sanctions on us, let them bring them. But this country, South Africa, all its citizens know that it is a democratic country, it's a liberated country, and we are still transforming this country in order to achieve equity. And we will still pursue redress because we are not equal in this economy. This economy is still male, white dominated. And you want to tell us to abandon policies that seek to advance transformation.
The bill known as the U.S.-South African Bilateral Relations Review Act of 2025, introduced by Republican Congressman Ronnie Jackson, has cleared the Foreign Affairs Committee, and it demands a comprehensive review of U.S. relations with South Africa and calls for the identification of ANC leaders and government officials for targeted sanctions. And why? Because South Africa has dared to chart an independent foreign policy, engaging China, Russia, Iran, and yes, even daring to bring a genocide case against Israel before International Court of Justice. Now, Congressman Jackson claims we've abandoned America and its allies and sided with communists and terrorists. And that's what they're calling non-alignment now. But here's the real insult, right? While this bill is being debated in Washington, AfriForum, a right-wing lobby group based in South Africa, is over there cheering it on. Now, AfriForum spokesperson Ernest van Zyl said that the bill is a welcome development for South African interests. But whose interest exactly? Because it certainly isn't mine, and I doubt it represents the interests of the majority of Black South Africans whose parents, whose grandparents, and ancestors fought against foreign governments meddling in our sovereignty. When AfriForum travels to Washington to whisper in the ears of the U.S. politicians, they aren't just lobbying against the ANC, but they are lobbying against South Africa's dignity, our independence, and our right to define our place in this world.
South Africa has enjoyed a rich partnership with the United States, particularly in terms of trade, counterterrorism cooperation, and global health. Recently, however, South Africa has abandoned America and our allies and increasingly aligned itself with our adversaries like China, Russia, Iran, and Iranian military proxies like Hamas. My bill, the U.S.-South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act, will provide the President and the Secretary of State with the tools needed to conduct a full review of the U.S.-South Africa bilateral relationship and determine whether South Africa has engaged in activities that undermine United States national security or foreign policy interest. In addition, my bill will give the Trump administration the authorities needed to identify and sanction corrupt officials of the ANC and continue to align with China, Iran, Russia, and have abandoned the United States in the process.
And of course, they're not alone. Solidarity, the trade union allied with AfriForum, is also calling for South Africa to abandon land alignment and cozy up to the U.S., but only if the U.S. gets to dictate terms. Now, they want Ramaphosa to guarantee protection for white-owned farmers, phase out racial laws, and walk back land reform. And let me be clear, this is not about diplomacy. This is about preserving white economic dominance under the gaze of human rights and property rights. Solidarity wants us to declare farmer tax a priority, but says nothing about township violence, about gender-based violence, or the economic violence of generational dispossession. Their vision of rights is quite selective and racialized and rooted in old colonial fears. Now let's talk about hypocrisy, right? The US government, particularly under the Trump administration, has no moral high ground to accuse anyone of aligning with authoritarian regimes. This is the same America that arms Saudi Arabia, that protects Israel war crimes and turns a blind eye to dictatorships so long as the oil keeps flowing, right? They say that our alignment with China and Russia is a problem, but last time I checked, China is our largest trading partner, and BRICS is not some anti-American cult. It's a multilateral bloc designed to counter Western dominance, and yes, that includes U.S. sanctions abuse. South Africa is not a colony. We are not obligated to support American wars or echo American values or accept their enemies as our own. This isn't just about geopolitics. This is about power and who actually gets to wield it. So when a white-led lobby group like AfriForum runs to the US to beg for punishment against a democratic elected government, it just reminds me exactly what they think of democracy. They love it until Black people use it to govern themselves. I do believe that this is not about Hamas. This is not about land. And this is definitely not about non-alignment. This is about AfriForum and the allies trying to achieve through US sanctions what apartheid failed to do by force, which is bring a black majority government to heel. Now to AfriForum and to Rodney Jackson and to every so-called ally who thinks they can twist our arms through foreign pressure, we see you, we are not afraid, and we will not be bought. And to the South African government, I do believe that this is a test of your backbone. Will you stand firm in our sovereignty, or will you let American lawmakers and local sellouts dictate our future? And to our people, let's remember, this is bigger than party politics. This is about principle. This is about the fight we inherited from Steve Biko, from Winnie Mandela, from our elders who knew that freedom without sovereignty is just a new form of slavery. Now, I'm Naledi Mfoloe, and this is the ANC, where our truth is global, is powerful, and unapologetically Black. Now let's continue the conversation in the comment section. I really like to hear what your thoughts are on this, and while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up